And maybe it's that one, because when we join together and we stay here, I think we are more proactive to do things and to put things in common. And so maybe the problem of us in that case is that we don't know exactly how to work remotely, and maybe we need to focus on that one. It's true that we didn't create all the things that we have to do. We don't have the design already, the final design clear for us. So I think today we can do teamwork. It's true that we don't know nothing about two other members. Yeah. We don't know nothing about the two other members, no communication at all. So that's it. Today we hope to create something. Please.
The problem for our group is the first thing is communication. If you communicate, you can.
Yeah, last week I have personally gave you a feedback saying you write your constraints first, see your communication abilities. How did it go with that?
Badly.
We did it, but we didn't work with it.
Very bad, very bad. It's true that in my case, my personal case, this week I've been receiving a training in my company. From years of training, and it was so intense. But okay, we didn't have any. No, yes, we need to work on that.
Okay, great. Okay, Miroslav is here also.
Never take the car. That's shooting yourself in the foot.
Group 3.
Yes, we would like to present two. First, for the planning part and for the design part.
Okay.
So I will do the planning. So planning went awesome. We were done with user stories before we left here. Very productive. Straight back, everybody did their part on the planning part. So everything was done in the beginning of the week, and then we could go straight into start working on the design. And I feel like our meetings went really well. We met every day, nothing more than between 10 minutes and 30 minutes. Abu was also able to join, even though he works, so that's not easy to make it fit, but he definitely took the time he needed to bring in. That was great. And I think we had everything on the list checked off, and then we could start playing with Figma. Now Tamina will take over the design part.
I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to see that. Whoa.
Look at the beautiful picture. Can you recognize?
A new website you have here.
Oh, wow. Look at that. This is Figma, right?
This is Figma, and you will see next week this one is website.
What is Figma? Oh, okay.
There you knew.
And
Members of the team.
That's so it's what we do.
It's beautiful. We like it.
and
There's more.
I try to add all the things that we can practice for next week for different thesis. So we have another page. Actually,
Sometimes it's blocked in Figma.
Figma takes time.
So this part took a little bit time to create the
We have
this
three.
drop down for designs in Figma, and we learned to use component and variant. I was a little bit familiar with Figma, but my colleagues start using it and try to calculate design, and it's already doing very well. some more pages which are completely designed, but some of them are not completed, but mostly the design is already there. For next week, we are going to follow that design and start our coding. The coding is already started from, I think the homepage is already done.
Yeah.
But the next pages are, we are going to work on it at the next week. So the design is not a lot different with the existing website, but we add some like this background and this stuff to practice CSS and HTML more.
Yeah. And I see that will be a very good challenge for you to accomplish what you have on page 1.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, group 4. Yes, Margaret. Can you stand?
Yeah. This week was good. Comparing to the last week, the communication was way better. We meet several times. And we made a progress on our planning. We finished our user persona, user stories, and backlog. And we also work on the development strategy. And we're having some ideas about the design, but it's going good. And we will work by sections where we can work all together as a team instead of like each person has his own idea and his job, and then we can do it separately. I think next week will be also more collaboration when we start coding and doing the redesign also. And anyone else with influence? Thank you.
Good. Any other thing from the group 4? Okay. Do you have specific questions you want to ask before we start our groups?
Maybe we can start from the question Victor. It's
Do we
shared
have-
on the grid,
Okay.
the group.
Yeah.
What is that?
Oh. Yeah, from Evan.
Yeah.
What about me?
Hi, Evan.
Hello.
No, there isn't.
Hi, can you say something so you can come?
You're doing very well, actually. Much better than I would have expected at this point from past classes. I've been looking through your check-ins, and you're asking very good questions. You seem to be blocked on the right things. A lot of you are coming across the fact that really the teamwork and collaboration part is going to be a lot harder than the code. I'm sure that if most of you just had a week to sit down and build a new version of Hack Your Future, you could have had one built already. But that's what we're looking at here. I don't know if you mentioned it before I came in though, but I saw Maurice also had a good question about how this whole planning is agile. Did you cover that yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Let me pull it up. I'll share the issue out. I tried to do my best to answer it in a comment, but I'm sure the other coaches will have more to add. So here it is. Copy and paste. So Maurice, maybe actually you want to ask your question again in your own words, and then we can answer it.
Maurice?
Yeah. Okay. My question is about agile development. I don't see the specificity of this concept. Everything seems obvious. So we know that if you want to build a project, you have to think, to design, and then build. But the concept of agile development, I don't see the additional value of the concept right now.
Can I try to
Yes.
speak? Did you you spoke about here also about the difference between waterfall projects and agile or Scrum projects? Is waterfall? Do you know what is a waterfall project?
We mentioned it, but it's worth going over again. That's a good point.
Okay. Yeah, because what was the biggest difference of agile, and this is something that I think also Mame and the other people that we on the daily work we see, is that before the project, wow, before the projects were built in a waterfall way. So what's the waterfall way? Imagine a waterfall. I don't know, maybe if we have some pictures on the Google, we can see. That was like first we plan it all, and then, for example, we think about all the possible things that the user would be able to do in our application, for example. Then we think about how the backend of the project should be to be secure enough and good enough and stable enough and all of these things. And then after we think about what will be the best UX and the best UI and how the user will be more happy. The thing is, this kind of waterfall projects would take to build what we are calling MVP, that I sort of said that you already heard about. To create MVP, these waterfall projects create that's in 6 months. And when we work with codes, let's say to build products, obviously what we need is to show the products for the users, to see if the users like or not. There's a difference. And to then interact with the users. So Agile, the good thing of Agile is that it's a more user-based way of building software, that what instead of have the full concept, the full design, the full develop, and then the full test part, then we get the MVP. And then for the MVP, I would say, like, for example, we don't need to build the best backend of the world if we can just make it possible that the user log in. And to build the best back end of the world, it will take some time, but just a login, we know, and we will know very soon that in one day we can do. You understand? And all these things, it's really become to start to be a thing to be user-centric. And I can say for personal experience, not just in my job, but before entering Hacker Future, I was building a project and I was really building like, I want the concept of the best thing of the world. Blah, blah, blah. It took me 1.5 years and all of that was never built. And then one moment, somebody told like, it was also this kind of programs. They told, we can build MVP for you. And I was like, what is MVP? Think about the 2 main things that you want that your user does, and this will build for you. And that took 1 month. We had the users in. The users start to say, I don't like this, I don't like that, that could be better. And then we start to do this interaction, but then more real world interaction. You understand?
Yeah.
I bring here 2 books. If I have 2 minutes more, I can pass to you to go see. That was I find very interesting because you're speaking about user stories. So this book is user story mapping. And this is a book that I read before I start my work. But on this book, especially, if you can pass and see, there are some little pictures on the book. And the pictures show this very clear. There's one picture, for example, that gives the example of Mona Lisa and how to be Mona Lisa, build it in an agile way. Yeah, that's a very famous story in the page 45, you want to see after, that they show what is a waterfall style, that you build first 1 wheel of the car. I show also here.
Oh, let me stop sharing there.
You build first 1 wheel of the car, then you build the 2 wheels of the car, then you build the carrossery of the car, and then you put the engine. So the question is, when you'll be able to drive the car and see if the car is good, just on the end of all this project. But if you have a skateboard, you already can fulfill the main problem, that is conduction. You understand? To go to one side to the other. Then you make like a patinette. Here's it. You see? Then you can make like a bicycle. Then from the bicycle you have a motorcycle. And the thing of the thing that this Agile allows is exactly this, to resolve what we here, and this is what I believe that what we here are doing, hopefully, is to resolve the problems of the world through code, not through technology. So the best way to see if we are resolving good is to try to resolve the problems little by little, step by step, with the users. And for this, we need to include the users in the process as soon as possible.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for the explanation. So, in my opinion, something is missing there is the fact that now we are almost using all the project without the feedback from the user, and that is my concern, because the coaches ask us to think deeply and to think in detail. So we did, and now we are building the whole web page, but at the end, the user will give the feedback, but I think that is late in this case.
Yeah, I understand your point, and I understand the point of the exercise, because it's true that this is not some kind of real world environment, like really like you told, that then we need to figure out what is the best and second. But it's very good to exercise, because I would say, for example, if I think about Hacker Future, we should think like, well, what's the main goal? Is to have the people apply. So the first thing we should build, we can just build blocks of HTML, just divs or sections, and we first build an about and one form to log in. The people send the email, and it's just HTML and CSS, but I mean just because this is the main goal of Hacker Future, to have the people in. Then we could put the pictures, then we could make the animations of CSS. So this is really a controlled environment, but we can already train this process of go step by step, thinking about the case of Hacker Future, like what's the main point to speak about ourselves, to let people aware of this, and to bring people. So we should have a nice about and a nice join in. Yeah. And then after to speak about the technologies, this is already a second step. And I think it's more or less on this. And obviously with this we train, when you have your final projects, and then you need to figure out by yourselves what is the most important things to the users, what is the second, what would be nice to build. Then you really see the value of this way of thinking. Okay. Thank you. If you want that I pass these 2 books for you, go just. Are you interested? Yeah. Yes.
I think for now, you just have to put yourself as from the user perspective view. So what would Hacker Future team or Hacker Future organization would like to advertise through their website? You have to look at it from that point of view. If I am working at a Hacker Future, what would I want other people to know about Hacker Future? And if I am looking for an organization like Hacker Future, what am I looking for? So both sides you have to see for now. And that will help you also in the future if you want to be a product owner like him. You have to see from outside view, from the user point of view. And if you are developer, also you have to see it from the user point of view. So yeah, both of it is good. Yes.
Can I add something? I guess that happened with us after building our development strategy and started the design phase. We discovered that we have to add two more sections to the homepage. So we went back and we edited the development strategy. That is how what Agile is. Because if we are working on multiple, we can't edit the development strategy. We have to go exactly like the development strategy. Yeah. And you can add for more sections. Yeah.
May I ask what sections you have added extra?
Not our own page. For example, general information about how you feature to the homepage. It's not in the original website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Can I add two things to that?
Yes, wait.
Before we move on for the Agile thing, one is also just the length of the project. This project you're working on is effectively one sprint. It's 2 weeks, but in a full product, a sprint is 2 weeks maybe usually, and you do that for a year. So you're also not really seeing all of what Agile is because you don't really have time to change and adapt and adapt. So the idea with an Agile project at a company would be you have 9 months to build something. In the first month, let's get out the simplest feature. Then the next month, let's see if that feature worked and add something new or fix it. And so your plan develops over time. But here you're only 1 week in, so you really have only planned and started the first features. So I think over this coming week, as you start developing, you'll see that you have to go back and you might have to adjust your plans, just like that was Darren, I think, said.
Yeah.
And so that's when you'll start to see, was it, sorry, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So that's when you'll start to see the Agile 2 is when you actually start the development. Because if you remember those diagrams, Agile has planning, development, planning, development, planning, development. So you'll see that more in this week than you did in last. And the other thing is you're very right that you didn't really go back to a user. And that is one of the biggest pieces of Agile development is that you are constantly talking to your users and your clients. You show them a new feature, they give you feedback. Over the next sprint, you update or fix or adjust, then you hear back from them. And in the next module, UX UI design, the first week is going to be all about how to interview users, how to develop better user personas, and how to use the design cycle to iteratively improve your product. So that's also something that will make more sense in the next module after you've gotten the basic workflows down. So like also if you think about this module, retrospectives are new to you. The whole idea of a stand-up is new to you. The planning documents, all that, you're still figuring it out. So now you're putting the pieces together. Next module, you'll see the bigger picture when you start touching the users. And then later on in Hack Your Future, as your projects get longer, then you'll really start to feel where the Agile kicks in. That's what I wanted to add. Questions, things to add to that?
No, it's very good. Everything is mentioned. But I would like to say, water flow is not a bad version, by the way. It's still used until now, as I think. And we are using waterfall development strategy with critical systems. For example, in NASA, it's not logical. Every day they build a rocket to launch for space, and yeah, it's not working. So they must prepare the concept, theories, everything must be done step by step. So we are still using waterfall development strategy, but in some systems. Okay, so water flow is not a bad version.
We didn't say it's bad, but
Yeah.
we wanted to use more Agile. Ami, Miroslav, would you like to add about Agile? Anything?
The main point is to be able to adjust your change. So you create something, show to the user, and they can say, oh, this is not what I wanted. I want this, for example, is to start with like create like a form, and first like customer can say like, okay, I want like for example the first name and the last name from the user, and you create that, and after a while they said, okay, I also want the address from the user, and you are able to request to that change. So go forward and back every time. So that's the main point as well.
Anything you want to add? Questions? No, nothing. Oh, so quiet. Evan, anything you want to add?
No.
Yeah, I hope maybe if we can cover, because I think it's not clear for everyone how to work as a team. So I prefer maybe we can open a website
Yeah.
And explain the steps of dividing the website, and how you can separate the task between the team. So not just one member will develop one page by him or herself. So maybe we can
Yes,
just
I will share the Happy Future
website.
and then we can start from there, I guess.
You can.
Can you see, Evan? You can see anything?
No.
It's black.
Okay.
Maybe one of the class
No.
can share.
I can duplicate. Okay. Can you see now?
No.
Stop sharing. That is for your group to decide, but most importantly, that's why you have issues as well, to claim those issues as much as you want to do it. But it doesn't mean that one person has to do everything in that group. So when you have issues, then it will be clear who's working on what when you assign your issues. Evan?
Yeah, that's actually closely related to what I was going to say. I think it was Daniel speaking before me. I couldn't quite hear what he was saying, but it sounds like it might have been what I'm about to say. So stop me if it is. Like as far as going with the issues claiming and division of work, and also this idea of agile building with one little feature at a time. It's actually not a good branching strategy in this world of thinking to have one branch for each page. Because then if you finish the header for one of the pages, you can't deploy that branch until you're really ready. So until the whole page is ready. So the whole point of having separate issues broken by user story that one person claims is that the moment that user story is done, it can be deployed. So from that perspective, what you would actually want to do is have one branch for every issue, one pull request to main when it's done. That way, if Maurice is motivated and he can close 3 issues in one day, that means you merge 3 pull requests, and each pull request adds maybe a new section or a new button to the web page. If you have your branches organized by page with pull requests to the page, then you kind of want to wait for the whole page before you merge it. And then the other point of pages is that you shouldn't think of your web page as pages. You should think of it as user stories. Some of them are more important, some of them are less important, and user stories can be on any page. So that's also why your backlog is broken up into must have, should have, and could have, rather than by pages. Because you're thinking, so let's make issues for all of our must have tasks. Now we have a week, everyone build as many of them as you can. The moment we're done with them, we merge it. And it actually doesn't matter if that goes onto the about page or the home page or the apply page or where, because you're focusing on the user story and on deploying one user story at a time. Does that help? Or did I just repeat what Daniel said?
It helps.
Was it clear? Did I say a lot very fast? I think I started talking faster and faster. So questions, please, if you have any.
Questions? Why he's here? No?
No question. Okay, let's talk about naming convention, maybe.
Yeah.
Because also we noticed some branches named by your names, and this is not good practice at all. Because, for example, if I will create my branch with my name Tamer, and I will start with header, for example, but I am struggling in nav links. Okay, Yeah, okay, maybe I will ask Azzam. Yeah.
Mahmoud.
Yeah, Mahmoud, sorry. I will ask Mahmoud to complete my my work. He can help me, then make the pull request. But the branch name is called Tamer. His name is Mahmoud. It's not making sense. The good idea to name the branch with header nav links. Okay, that making sense. So I hope the naming convention will be clear with the time.
It's better to name it under the thing that you're building on. If it's navigation, navigation. If it's button, button. It's much better that way than if I want to go back to that branch, then I can get it easily than to say Aviv or Tamina. What I don't know what's built, and I have to think what they have built and what they have done in that branch. So it's easier. Yeah.
Is branch names case sensitive? Because sometimes I have problem with case sensitive.
Yeah. So normally try just to write the folders, files, everything in small letter.
Yeah.
It will be a good idea.
Easier.
Yeah.
My other question is in which practice when you worship branch and then
Yeah, it's also a good practice because some of you just using the same branch with the same name. I just noticed, for example, when it's merged, just ignore that branch and you can delete it, not reuse the same name.
We can't use it again after we merge it, the same branch.
It's much easier to
No.
use a new branch than a merged branch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For example, if you finished from nav links, you can merge that branch. For example, if there is a bug or a problem, then it will be with different name. For example, fix nav links bugs.
Yeah. We actually keep it like if it's for fix, you write fix / this thing, and then it will be a specific thing. And if it's a future, you can say also future / this thing, and yeah, more easier. Okay, any other questions? Something you want to cover?
No, I don't have anything in my mind. We can start with code review because this week should be covered.
Yeah. Okay. Code review. You still have to send the snippets and vocabulary and bio. So those 3 things has to be done this week. The other thing is you have to take a look also your teammates' pull requests for the snippets and the vocabulary, so we won't have the same ideas, the same things as a library. We wanted to use the snippet and the vocabulary as a library as well. So the more you move on, the more you're going to learn from it. So please go on and check out what your teammates has done on the pull request before you do your own pull request on vocabulary and snippets. Yes.
The snippets and the vocabulary, we submit those every week or one per module?
When there is a deliverable for the vocabulary and snippets, you have to do those things. Yeah, but it doesn't have to be a monthly module per module thing.
We just want to see that everyone is contributing something.
Yeah.
And that if you find something, you're sharing it. That's really what matters in there. So if you have a lot of things you like to share, you can send more. If you only have 1 or 2 things, that's also good. It's nice. It will help you maybe understand those assignments if you think of the end goal And the end goal is that in a month or two, when you guys have your home repository open on your computers, it's helpful. It's full of vocabulary words you might get blocked on, and it's full of snippets you might find helpful. So that's really the goal. That might help you then see what's important and what's not in there. You're just trying to create a little shared collection of notes and snippets for each other.
Especially the CSS part, it will help you more over when you start practicing CSS and HTML. Overview.
Yeah, Evan can take the stage.
Yeah, Evan?
What about me?
Yeah, maybe you can start with code review or
For now?
yeah. Or if you have something.
Oh, no, I have something. I thought you were going to break into small groups now.
Yeah. We can do that as well.
And then the code review you can do in small groups. That'll probably be better. And then at the end of the day, we can just recap how it went.
Yeah, they can write in codes, it's just planning and coordinate.
Yeah, okay.
All right, then we can break to groups now. No waving. Where are you going? Stay. It's gone. We can break into groups and discuss. Coach will be here to help you move around. And we'll meet back at 2 o'clock. Is it 2 already?
Can we go to the other space?
Yes, absolutely.
We can leave
Just don't go over there and start playing games. So do your actual work. But yeah, let's break into groups and then let's meet back at 2 o'clock. You give us some perspectives and then we'll go to lunch. Sorry that Evan is not here to count for us. So
Yeah.
all right. Nathan, please mute yourself so I can admit you, okay? Yes, so we are back. Evan, can you hear us? Can you hear us? All right. So should we start with 2 minutes check-in from the group leaders or projects managers? Should I say managers? Group 1.
Actually, we had some advices from Potsdamer, and we are going to work on our development strategy again. We will write it correctly, and that's it.
Oh, okay. Group 2.
What we have done today, we just created our user personas, and it's done. And that's
always fast. Okay, group 3.
We have made all our issues, we are working on one page in different sections. So we have made issues for each section, plus for the footer and for the header, and agreed on a communication plan for the following week.
Right. Group 4.
The same thing, we created issues for each section, and we will start working on section, and we will also continue communicating to improve our development strategy.
Okay.
Yes, and also we made a template on an HTML template, so we are ready.
Okay. Anything you want to add before we go out? Evan?
I couldn't really hear that last check-in, so hard to add something.
Marfa?
Yes, the whole thing, or just like we made a template and each template like to start working, and also we are finished with the issues that we are going to work on. Yeah.
Okay. Since you all didn't start with your coding, basically, yeah, with your HTML and CSS, we'll just try to give you a general code review tips, I guess, and you can start from there. You have the code check-ins, checking workflows, but as a person, how could you check the other person's work? Sam?
No, Evan?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, I can start. Just the general idea of code review is that someone else looks over your code before you bring it to the main branch. So at least two people, you and someone else, are reading your code, but then added on top of that is a layer of consistency. So you're looking through the code to make sure it works, but also to make sure that it matches the conventions in the repository. So already the linting and styling checks, that all helps, but then there'll also be an additional checklist. So every time you generate a pull request in the template repository, a checklist is added. I see some of you are removing that checklist. You should keep it there. The whole point of the checklist is to make sure that everyone's code meets at least some minimum standards. It's hard to standardize things like, does it look good? Or things like, is it what you were supposed to build? But you can at least standardize naming conventions, all the little details that are annoying to remember and hard to remember. You just put that in a checklist. So there's a couple different levels of code review. On the basic level, it's just, did all of these details, are they done correctly? Are the I's dotted and the T's crossed? And the checklists and the linting checks can help with that. But then beyond that, you're going to be reviewing each other's code for higher level things as well. So if they said that they built the header, did they actually build the header? If part of one of the acceptance criteria, so part of the issue said that it needs to be resizable. When the screen is narrow, it looks one way. When the screen is bigger, it looks a different way. You'll need to actually you'll need to pull that person's branch and run the code locally and resize your browser and make sure that it actually does what it's supposed to do. So you can't do a code review just on GitHub and say, okay, and be done. You'll also need to pull the branch to your computer, check it, play around with it, make sure it works. And that's the short story on code review. Of course, you can go into much, much more about it. And later on in the course, when you start learning about testing and solving challenges and starting to work together on a JavaScript repository, we'll revisit code review and we'll see a lot more that you can check for. But for now, it's more just the practice of looking over each other's codes on the more basic level for consistency, for I's being dotted, T's checked, linting passes, files are named correctly, all of the details. And then on the next level up, you're actually pulling their branch and making sure it works. So for now, that's code review. Later, we'll build on this topic, and the more practice you get, the more questions you'll have too. That's it. Past classes have had some code to review already by now, but that's not a bad thing. You guys have gone a lot further in the planning and done a very good job on that. So it's not a bad thing. It's just that you don't have any code for us to practice reviewing today. That's it. Questions? Maybe if anyone did write any code, if there's even a single pull request from one group, maybe that one could be discussed.
Has anybody done any pull requests for code?
Any HTML and CSS, if you have.
Yes?
Okay, we built our header.
Okay.
For our website containing the logo and the navigation bar.
Okay.
We made make sure that our code vast objects, therefore objects, and we are starting to use responsive
Design.
yeah, responsive design, and it works actually perfectly.
Do you have pull requests? If you have pull requests, we can share your screen and.
It's
Not
merged.
yet. Is it merged?
Yeah, it's merged.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, we can talk about general.
Oh, sorry, for that merge pull request, we could look at that and see how your conversation went and maybe if there's something you missed.
Yeah, you can share your screen.
We can also show them our global.
The branch, there was a link to check the branch. Evan, can you share the link for checking a
Which
branch?
link? What do you mean for checking a branch?
For checking your branch online. There was a link, a website.
I don't remember which one you're talking about.
Preview or something like that.
Yeah.
Are you going to check one of the previous one?
Yeah.
So already we see that none of these boxes are checked. I don't know if that means you checked them but didn't actually click it. But that's one of the first things with the pull request is just go down this checklist. You don't have to think so hard. Most of these, at least for the first part, the basic checks, they're things that you can check and it's either yes or no. So if you scroll up and look through that, we can see if this pull request meets the full checklist. So scroll back up to the checklist in the description, and we can just practice going down and answering these questions. Nope, no. Back to the main issue, to the main pull request, we're at conversation. That checklist, the general checks. So what does this mean?
The branch is up to date with main.
Basically, we have no conflicts.
So it's a little more than just not having conflicts. It means that before you ask someone to review your code, you've actually merged the master branch into your branch to make sure that every single line of code on the main branch is on yours. Why that's important is maybe on your branch, your CSS works, but someone wrote a class with the same name on the main branch and yours is on top of theirs. So it works on your branch, but when you merge your branch to main, all of a sudden, instead of your user class, there's someone else's user class making your button look wrong. So this check is about much more than just conflicts. It's did you take every single line of code that was on main, merge it to your branch, and make sure that that still works. Because your branch might work on its own, but not once it's combined with the rest of the code.
The code works when both and run locally, yes, it works.
That's for your teammates, I guess, right, Evan?
Yeah. So the person doing the code review, not the person who wrote the code, is going to do this checklist.
Can you go to the check? Yeah. Yeah, here.
Yes, it worked, right?
Yeah. When I heard that I should have checked these boxes. Okay, now I get it.
Yeah. So have you pulled this branch to your local and run it, and did it work on your local?
I didn't do any of that, but what I did is look at the files that were changed.
Yeah.
And saw that it looked okay to me, and saw that the checks were passed on to GitHub, but I didn't check it locally.
But you opened the URL and
Yeah.
After merging,
before merging. I think
Yeah.
Mami should give an example of how to check a branch.
Because in theory, you shouldn't merge the pull request until every one of those boxes is checked.
Yeah.
Who
Who created the pull request? You did?
Yeah, you create, and the assignee is who is going to
no, the reviewers.
one of the reviewers.
I merged that.
But you were the only one that reviewed this pull request for the other team.
Yeah, we agreed that only one team member could just approve the merge.
It should be like at least two people.
At least, yeah.
Yeah. Approve and checking your local machine it's going to work or not.
So every time I'm reviewing someone's pull request, I should go to that branch, download it, and make sure that it is working from my computer.
Yeah, if it's on Markdown and if you can see everything from GitHub, then maybe it's not necessary. But an actual code, HTML and CSS, you cannot guess from what they see in GitHub that everything is going to work. You download that branch on your local machine and then run it through a live server or using this page to see that everything is great, and then you can approve. Probably this checklist is using for your guidance.
And the thing is that in the last project, we realized, of course, at the end, we realized that because we didn't make anything responsive. He was saying something completely different from that Amy was seeing on her screen. So if I'm checking pull request on HTML and CSS file, then it looks completely odd on my screen. Like, should I just say right away, it's not good because I cannot display this information properly on my computer.
Checking on the same browser, it should be okay. I remember last time Amira was explained to use this developer tools and check on how it's going to look on the tablet or on the phone. Then it's going to be like, I believe that it should be everywhere the same thing, right?
Yeah, it's more. Yeah. So then maybe my question is like, everything should be responsive by now. It should not matter if she's working on a small laptop and he's working on a huge screen, that it should look well on both screens.
On the media queries that you manage to set them, they should look the same. But if there is no media query, it might look different to you or to her, depending on your on your laptop.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, if the media query is set. Yeah, if the media query is set, I think there are 3 conventional media. Yeah, 3 conventional. Yeah, then it should be the same. More than that, before you pull your teammates branch, your branch should be updated as well, so you can see if there is a merge conflict. Your yeah.
I will just add as a note. For the reviewers, we had the agreement to have one reviewer to make it faster. Because to have 2 reviewers, then they will maybe, you know, some of them have work, for example, then we will have delay. So we had the agreement of 1 reviewer to check this list and to accept and merge to make it fast. Because they have just 1 week, 2 reviewers will take that much time.
Yeah, but then it should be like every time should be a different reviewer.
Yeah, every time should be a different person to have the skills, because the materials of this course and the skills is your responsibility for each person. So you can't say, for example, Tamer finished the whole work. No, I have to learn everything by myself also. Okay.
And how to look for a specific branch or just go to main and look for everything?
If you're using GitBash or the terminal, you type git branch and dash all for each. It's going to give you all the branches. And then, for example, if the branch for this pull request is, I don't know, the name
Yeah.
of this branch, we can just git pull in the name of that branch.
And also when they create this pull request, they assign you already your data notification and then you know which branch you are going to join. Or your friend just put in the slide, just let me assign create a pull request.
Evan?
It was a little hard to hear some of that, but I
Any-
heard things about needing to take ownership and learn all the parts of the project, even if it's not your responsibility that week. That's good.
Okay, let's go to the third line. OCI checks pass. I guess that is clear. Yeah.
And the complex was resolved.
And that means
No conflict with the name.
okay.
For request have descriptive title. We are trying to have descriptive titles as much as we can. Purpose has appropriate labels and milestones. Yes, we.
Yes.
Yes, as HTML and must have. Purpose assigned to the owner. Yes. Reviewer are assigned. Yes. There are reviewers. Contributes only one focus change. Yes, which is only the navigation bar. It's in the appropriate column in the project board. Yes, done.
Is it moved after this merge?
After this merge. Has short and clear description. I think on the title, you have to write a description this time. Is linked to an issue? Yes. Feedback is addressed.
Okay.
Yeah, in this case, there was no comments, but sometimes we have.
Okay.
The markdown source is formatted. Yes.
Did you work on Markdown or did you work on HTML and CSS? It depends on what you have on that branch. If it's a Markdown, then you focus on the Markdown check-ins. If it's HTML and CSS, then you have to focus on the HTML and CSS.
Select this one. Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So let's say that I'm making a pull request, and the only thing that I change is the region, just the mark. Can I get rid of the HTML and CSS section? Can I just delete that from the checklist?
Yeah. You can delete like that, as I understand.
Evan? We put it in one place because we couldn't make a pull request workflows for HTML, CSS, and Markdown. So
Yep.
if you
So on GitHub, you can only make one pull request template for the whole repository. So yeah, you just pay attention to the checklists that are relevant for this pull request.
Yeah.
And you can even just delete the HTML part if there's no HTML in the pull request.
Thank you. Thank you.
The code is good formatted. I did the check formatting.
Okay.
Passes validation. There are no inline styles. Yes, we didn't use inline styles. There are no style tags. Yes. There is no inline JavaScript.
That's for another time.
There are no script tags. ID are used for JavaScript only. We don't use ID. Semantic tags are used. We just knew that today from Scammer. What article you used, right? So I want to see that. Spelling and grammar is correct in all side content. Yes, I think my colleagues review the sections that I wrote. CSS, the code is well formatted and passed the main images.
So maybe something we could do as an exercise now is instead of just clicking them and moving on, we can actually look at the code and see how you knew that.
Let's
File
start
change.
with the
Files changed, yeah.
files changed.
Here in the index. Let's see, no inline style.
For inline styles, you'd actually have to look through every element in the document because that would be inside of the body.
Go down.
No.
Is there any tag that contains styles? Sinan?
Only classes, we only use classes.
This one.
Go down.
About the stage, it's the same code because we only here I want to create the navigation bar for all pages. So it's the same code for all pages.
So if you check it one place, it will be the same for the other pages as
Yes.
well.
Because I cover a simple cover page in the same code.
Okay.
Yeah, I will explain the idea, and yeah, maybe I asked this question before now. Now, for example, if you will write the code for home page, should it be in the same branch for the other pages? I don't think it's a good practice because this navigation bar for HTML and CSS should be specific, for example, just for home page. And when you will start for example, for contact us, you will have another branch.
Because now bar is in general thing in all pages, so you can keep it in all pages.
The general template to start.
Yeah. So that's
It's copy paste for the whole pages. So you create the whole HTML and CSS.
No, they don't create all the changes, just this template to start, right?
I think we did in our
Navigation
group.
bar.
In our group, we did the footer and the header and make it, and we will bullet and merge it first, and then everyone will make the sections will make from the master. So he will make the sections. So each time he will take the HTML and CSS with the header and the footer. So he will go just the section.
So if it's template, yes.
Yeah.
So I think we're ready, so they already start with the navigation.
I understand both sides of the arguments, I guess. Tamer is saying for each template, use navigation section as a branch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Separated the branch.
The other coaches are saying use a generic navigation as an issue and then paste it every template and start from there. I guess it depends on your group as well. Do you want to separate it as a branch or do you want to keep it as generic? That's how
I don't know what the right answer is, but I just want to give a little bit of context.
Yeah.
That snippet, the header, is the first piece of code that we want to global things in the CSS. Except for that, this was kind of in this case we kind of use this as a kind of template.
And we will do probably the same for the footer as well. So only the navbar and the footer will be exactly the same throughout all pages, and then the rest, the specific sections, then that's a different story.
That's the point.
This is your one
Yeah.
question, because does it make sense to take repeat?
Yeah, exactly. It's just,
To repeat it again and again.
So they should just contain, create maybe a header template
Yeah,
and footer template,
Yeah.
and everyone just can copy and paste it from that template.
just for the first one, you mean, for the
Yeah.
home page, one person creates it, and then if someone is working on the About Us page,
We'll
then
copy.
just copy and paste the merged homepage.
Actually, we
Navigation.
tried that on our previous website, and for me, I had problem because to the last minute, Aviv was working for the navigation bar, and he was changing the code, so I had problem each time I have to go to the index and take the code for the header and paste it to my page. So this time we tried the same person who worked on the navigation bar, paste it for all pages.
So it'll be generic.
that way is more user story oriented. And just make sure that this particular thing works everywhere, something like that. Yeah, like if there is a user story for the navigation bar, so make sure the navigation bar works in all websites, all pages.
Like, when that is pushed and marched to the main page, every one of you can pull that new main page. Yeah, exactly. March your future branch.
Yeah.
I don't know, Aaron, is it good to copy the code and then just to paste, and then this code is already in another branch? I mean, is it good with this story? And
It was hard to follow the whole conversation, as some of it was hard to understand. But I would say, I don't know, do what's best for now, because eventually you're going to replace this problem with components.
Yeah.
But for now, I would have no strong opinion.
So,
He's talking about JavaScript and React.
Well, maybe one idea I did have while I was listening is maybe if you had a separate file called snippets.html or templates.html, maybe there you could store a whole bunch of stuff that people copy paste. But the risk of copy pasting and splitting things across separate issues that need to look alike is they run the risk of starting to look different if you update it on one page and not the other. So maybe a file called snippets.html maybe, and there you'd have the header, and there you could have the footer, and there you could have some important buttons. So if anyone ever needs to write another header or another button, they can copy paste that button. But that's just an idea. I'd say whatever works, and eventually you'll learn how you can use components to make this problem go away.
Yeah, but the same way, the same way that they're doing right now is, why go another way to write a snippet and make a template while they can do it a general template for the whole page, footer and header and buttons, and then they can move on with their other sections.
So what my thought with that is, it's like having a library of buttons, and you have a single source of truth. If you start copy pasting buttons across pages, maybe 2 people copy pasted from one page, 2 other people copied from another page. So now you end up with 2 buttons all over the place. My thought with the snippets file was that there's a single source of truth. That's the button that everyone copies from, and everyone copies from there. Then also, if you're making a change, you can change that file and say, hey, everyone, update your pages and update your sections to use the new button. So that would be my thought for why to have a separate file, is it's sort of next to the project. It isn't the live site, and it's just a collection of what you've all agreed is the main components of your site. Now, maybe it's not the best idea. Maybe you don't want to do it, but I just thought of it there on the fly.
Yeah. Also, they can use boilerplate.
Yeah. Boilerplate. Okay.
Here is our CSS file.
What was the checks for the CSS file?
We formatted and we passed the check.
Okay. Anything you want to add, Evan?
We agreed to put comments as much as we can.
Yeah.
So, yeah, each code we commented.
Okay. Any questions? Nothing?
Yeah, okay, I'll just add a small note. Because of this, we are creating small issues, small PRs. Normally, the code of lines should not be too long. For example, 400 is too much for you to review. So when you create a small issue, you will not have that much code of lines to review. Maybe you will have 20, 40, 100, 200. It's enough to review, because otherwise you will not be handling everything at the same time. Normally, it will take maybe 1 hour, more or less, to clone the repo, test, review the lines, and the other steps. So take your time and review, not just you want to merge it. Okay.
And make small branches.
Yeah, small branch, then you will have maybe 20 lines of codes, 200, the maximum, I think.
So if one of these checkboxes is not checked, so I don't never be.
No.
Yeah, I would just add that, as Thomas said, take your time for code. From my personal experience, I learned a lot while reviewing each other's code. Like I wanted to understand what this code is doing, but someone else wrote it. Like when you get to the more complicated things, it's gonna be like, interesting to learn from each other. So yeah.
It might look easier now because it's just HTML and CSS, but the more JavaScript is coming through it, the more other wireframes are coming through it. It will be much difficult if you have big branch, a big section of branch, and if you don't review the code of the other team and just merge it through, then yeah, it will go upside down. Okay, let's take a break. Let's come back at 3:15. Yes, now it's 2:45, 30 minutes, and I will come back. Yeah. So, how was your day? Great.
For group number 2, very good. Finally.
Nice. Last check-ins. Group 1.
Yeah, all good. Trying to perfect some things, but in the right direction.
Anything that's not clear for you? You want to ask? Any questions? Last questions?
Everything
It's been clear and clear. That's
we
nice.
learn everything every time we learn.
Yeah, that's the point as well, I guess.
It was a big eye-opener for me personally.
Yeah.
That we weren't really aware of.
So Ivan can hear you. Speak loud so Ivan can hear you through here.
Yes, we learned a lot of these things and we're going to proceed better. We think our process before we much healthier going forward.
Yeah. Great. Group 2.
Okay, so today has been a really nice day for us. We do everything about the planning, the developing the strategy. We are defining also all the issues, user personas, backlog communication. Everything is already created. Everything is ongoing, and we are going to assign ourselves to create the site, a small site, but site, and I'm quite happy. I'm quite happy today. I think yes, yes. I really miss this kind of collaboration, really. So for me, I don't know if you have wanted to
I
say
don't know, but
something.
when I compare with the last weeks, before last weeks, these are so hard to manage, but this week was very nice. And I also grateful for them, Nathan and Eduardo. And I think the next week will be better than this week. And for
Group 3.
I think we know exactly what we have to do, and we made a plan over it, and we agreed on communication, and we are now just playing with each our section. And then we are checking in again during the week. If anyone runs into any problems or anything, we will help each other out. Or if we get totally stuck, we'll reach out to you guys. But we have a good plan, a good flow.
Yeah.
Getting Abu is helping Sarah also get in on it, catching up, and I think, yeah, if anyone, do you have anything else there? It's just, we're on a roll right now. Let's see, we'll get stuck in some HTML and CSS problem, but we'll try and work on it, yeah.
Great, that's nice. Group 4.
Everything is okay with us. We are made on the communication plan for the next week and also for the section that we are going to work on. And hopefully our plan.
Communication, communication, communication. That's the most important thing, I guess, here. Anything you want to add, Tamer?
Good job. Good.
Did you guys hear? Tamer said you're doing a good job, so be proud. Mommy? Next.
But this is holiday, or is it?
Evan? Anything you want to add?
No, not really. I haven't been able to see how it's going in your small groups, and what I've seen in your repos I've already brought up, so congrats. And if Tamer is saying you're fine,
you are fine.
Okay, I just want to add